All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting for October 12th, 2022. Annette, would you do the roll call, please?
Barbara Sutherland.
Here.
Carrie Korfman.
Here.
Dwight Rose.
Present.
Kathy Oden.
Here.
Sandra Machucci.
I'm gonna have to get you to say that right.
How do you say it? Sorry.
Makuchi.
Makuchi.
Thank you. Here.
All right. Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you. Karen Towler.
Here.
Councillor Utley.
Here.
And that's everyone.
Okay, thank you. All
I'll
right.
be glad when that councillor title's gone.
Yeah. It would just be Mr. Utley.
Mr. Utley or Sir John.
There you go. Or Sir John. That's right. All right. And approval of the agenda. Is there anyone opposed to approving the agenda? And none. Thank you. Declarations of conflict of interest. Anyone? No. Thank you. And consent items. We're down to 5.1. The minutes that the following minutes be approved of September 14th. May I have a motion? Kathy, thank you. Seconder. Dwight, thank you. Anyone opposed? None. It's carried. Thank you. And accepting the report of Annette, our executive director. May I have a motion to do that? Kathy, thank you. Dwight, thank you. Anyone opposed? None. Thank you. All right. Moving right along. This is going to be a short meeting, folks. Annette, could you give us an update on the AGM, please? And
Yes.
also the board applications.
All right. We've set the date for November 24th for the AGM. It will be held at the Sanderson Center starting at 6, November 24th. We're going to relaunch the Golden Broom at that event. We have the October award that's here and waiting to be presented. So hopefully I can get those people to the meeting. We'll also be presenting our Downtown Champion Award. Board applications. So I received 10 applications, which would have required an election. I've since had one applicant withdraw, so no election will be needed. So at the AGM, we'll probably just ask for a motion that the slate of applicants just be sent to council for possible appointment. And I've started working on the food. So I've contacted a couple new restaurants to see about providing food, but I think I'm gonna try for like 4 or 5, just to do like finger foods. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Something you want to try.
Maybe we should try the Jamaican.
Yeah.
Mm.
I can talk to them.
Just to step it up.
Yeah, I can talk to them.
Okay, thanks, Annette. That's great. Any questions regarding the above? None. Okay. All right. Good morning, Ben. You're going to tell us about the World Cup in Harmony Square.
Buddy, just 1 second. I need to put this headphone in to get rid of the other
Can't
noise
hear you
right now. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
You can
Yeah.
hear me? Okay, perfect. Carrie, can you hear me?
It's
You're really quiet.
It's quiet. Yeah.
Can't hear. Got your volume off, Ben.
How about now?
A little better, a little more.
If I unplug it again,
No.
plug it back in.
You might have to yell.
Okay,
Something's wrong with your sound.
that's very strange. What if I just speak through my computer like this?
Oh, there you
Perfect.
That's
go.
way better. Okay, perfect. I'm getting lots of nods. That's good. Good morning, everybody. I'm proud to present, excited to present World Cup in Harmony Square. I've talked with a few of you about this already. I know I've worked with Jennifer on this as well, but we're Canada for the first time in 36 years has made the World Cup, the men's team. And so we are bringing that to Harmony Square on a large video wall and looking to create an experience with a crowd of people and just to be able to take in this game. It's Canadian football or soccer history, depending on which side whatever you call it, but we're aiming to gather a crowd in there, and we are looking for your help with funding this event via sponsorship. And there's 2 levels of sponsorship, premium and partner, that are remaining. And kind of to draw a picture of the whole thing right now, I'm not sure, I know Annette and Barbara had sent an email last night just kind of outlining what the layout's going to be. Was that forwarded by chance? I know I sent it last minute. But basically the TV screen is going to be placed inside of the Hudson Public patio. So it's going to be off to the far third one. And I can send this out, or I might be able to share my screen as well to be able to show this. But it's going to be set up on their patio. The screen is just over 10 feet tall by 6 feet tall. So it is really large. It's hung up on truss. It's going to have speakers that will be there to play the game out into the crowd. There is Canada's guaranteed 3 games. They're November 23rd, November 27th, December 1st. So they're guaranteed 3 games. And then should they win, then we will be streaming or playing the rest of the games as well. So included in this, guaranteed with this package, is we're going to be broadcasting 3 of the games, the 3 Canadian games, plus the final match, whether Canada is in it or not. The final match is on December 18th. And so guaranteed 4 games, but should Canada win, then we would continue to broadcast those games as well in Harmony Square. Does anybody have any questions
Thanks.
on that?
Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you. I'm just looking at your very detailed presentation. Thank you. And I guess I'm struggling a little bit with the timing. I know we have no control over when they're being delivered, but we're talking like November 23rd, which is during the week at 2 p.m. and then another one at 11. Do we anticipate what our numbers might potentially be?
So we're not 100% sure what that might be. What we have launched this event, so we do have a lot of really strong feedback as far as people saying that they're going to be there to watch the games. People that love this level of soccer or sport will make it happen to be there, without saying what that means, but they'll be there. So we're really excited about that feedback that people have said that they're excited for this, to be able to gather and be able to watch and take this in together.
Okay, thank you. I've got John, Beth, and then Kathy. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the crowds will all depend on what country is in certain stages. So I hope Canada is well supported in this. It's a first, and it's a really truly exciting part of our sports history. Italy, you'll have a big probably a big contingent of Italians downtown if Italy's in the final, France and so on. So that's I think that's all dependent on how far they go in all the different stages. But we've got quite we've got a large Polish community, Hungarian, a few Brits here and there, God help us. And I'll be there with my Union Jack underwear with the Royal Crest on, just in case they win. So that's too much information at this time of day, I know. But anyhow, it's an exciting time, and it really is a global sport, and for the first time, Canada's part of it. I think it's absolutely one. Ben, thank you for organizing this. It's great, and it is football, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John. Beth, go ahead.
Thanks for indulging me, Barbara, because I know I'm technically
That's okay.
just here as a
Part of the
liaison,
group.
but I just wanted to say, I think it's great. We have at the International College this year, we have students from 15 different countries. So depending on who ends up in the mix, I think you're going to have a student population that's interested in this as well. I read through the proposal quickly, Ben. I just wonder if you could help me visualize. I know you mentioned where the screen will be. What's the seating like? Given that time of year, we and where we live, I just wondered if you could give us a bigger vision of what the actual guest experience would be.
Yeah, so the guest experience right now, the plan is to have it just be standing only, and have just dress for the weather be encouraged. We do have backup plans that would potentially involve going in, should it be the weather be extremely inclement, it would be taking it inside. Hudson Public is the presenting sponsor of this, so they've said that they would allow us to put that up in their back room and just bring everybody inside for that. So that is an option. But as far as the guest experience, with the perfect weather that we are going to get, that will be outside in Harmony Square. And actually, I should be able to share this with you just so you can see it. Host disabled. Where's Barb? Is Barb still there? Barb, are you able to give me host access or co-host access? And I'll just pull it up on my screen.
I can do that. Hold on. Ben.
Okay.
While she's doing that, Ben, I will say we have a what's happening downtown part of the student weekly email. So please, anything like this, if you want the students included, send it along and we'll gladly share it.
Perfect. Will do. Thank you.
You have access. Go ahead, Ben. You have access.
Conestoga would love to share this as well.
This should now, can you see that there?
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful. So there is the screen. It's on the far right piece of the patio against the hedge line. With this is kind of a loose. The video wall is visible from. We were just there yesterday to kind of confirm everything, measure things out. But it will. This is not going to be like a fenced off section. So this is just. As far as visibility goes, this is the area plus into the crowd. It is visible from across. So should we gather a really large crowd, the screen is visible from the other side of what would be the ice rink or the splash pad. But this is just to kind of showcase the approximate layout of how this will be. And I think there's one more. So then a further back view of what that will look like. But the goal, Beth, is to have a few different like photo wall things, maybe a couple soccer balls there to be able to play with for younger age groups, and just have kind of crowd engagement opportunities for that. And I know we have a couple of the sponsors have said that they wanted to be able to give away some different prizes and handouts and just different things like that.
Okay, Kathy, did you still have a question?
Beth had my question, so that's great. Thank you.
Okay, good. Dwight, go ahead.
Yes, I think with the diversity of people we have downtown there should be very well attended as far as that is concerned. And I think people will bring their own chairs, same as with the Jazz Festival with things going on. So I think all in all, that's going to be quite the event with things. So, and I don't know if we could pull one out, Ben, maybe same as Blue Jays and do a 50-50 draw or something. That might be something for charity or a food bank or something like that. But I don't know if you want to throw that into the fray. But I was just looking at that.
Dwight, I think that's a great idea too, and I'll talk with our team about that, but that's the perfect time of the year to definitely be thinking about doing something for the food bank. So I think that's a wonderful idea.
Karen, go ahead.
Sorry, I sit on the board for the food bank, so we do appreciate food, but what we appreciate more is donations of funds, because it goes a lot further. And we have to do our Christmas baskets, so any financial remuneration would also be appreciated. So if we could have an option, Ben, if you want to reach out to me and I can connect you with next steps on that when you're ready, just let me know.
Will do. Thank you, Karen.
Dwight, go ahead.
I want to propose a motion for this World Cup here, and I'm going to propose that we be the premium sponsor for this event coming up. And I'm looking for a seconder.
John, you second? Yeah. Okay. And anyone opposed? Seeing none, all in favor? It carries. Thank you so much. John,
Thank you, everybody.
did you have another comment? No, okay, all right.
Take myself off mute. No,
Excellent.
thank you.
We look forward to that. Thanks, Ben, so much. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
everybody.
As always, you're welcome to stay.
I would love to, but I have to look after Theo now, so I've got to
course
go.
you do.
But thank you, everybody, so much, and I'll
Okay.
see you soon. Thank
Thanks
you.
so
Bye.
much, Ben. Bye-bye. All right. All right. And now we're down to our committee reports, and we have with us, and we're so glad to have with us, Acting Sergeant John Balone. And what do you have to tell us this morning, John?
Okay, I think that you all have received my stats for the past month. We're still in a mentoring phase with our outward facing special gospel program. I am of the opinion at this point that things are working because the landscape of the downtown has been changing. I'm not seeing the drug use that I usually have seen out in the open. Calls somewhat are decreasing. Now, what I am seeing is that there are now becoming pockets where these problems are being identified. So basically, for example, the Salvation Army, right? The big points of egress into our downtown. So the thing is, when you drive up Dalhousie Street, you look to your left-hand side, and it looks like a whole bunch of weary travelers at an oasis, right? Just laid out in the flower beds in front of the Salvation Army. That is a problem I cannot fix because I want those people to get the services that they need down there. However, the public perception when they actually drive by, because it's a very high traffic area, right along Clarence Street and Dalhousie Street coming into the downtown, I can completely understand how this will change some people's perceptions of the downtown. So I know pretty much any day of the week or anytime I leave my office, I can make a beeline to the Salvation Army. And in that group of 5 to 10 that are laid out in the planters, and I have done this recently, just a couple of days ago, I'm able to walk up and take drugs right out of their hands.
Wow.
For example, the particular incident that I was talking about, they had actually set up a patio umbrella inside the planter. And then they had emergency blankets, you know, those ones that are made out of tin foil. So that way it was more like a tent structure made out of the umbrella. And I give credit to some of them because they're a little bit more discreet. But some of them believe they're kind of like ostriches. If you actually stick your head into the sand, you become invisible to the entire world, like children. But that's not the case. So I was able to walk right inside the Salvation Army. I asked them if they had anything to do with this structure. And of course they said no. And so then I walked over the structure, invited myself in, and I just took drugs right out of their hands. Again, the courts, in my opinion, don't take the drug use very seriously. It just, it's more of a social issue. It's not necessarily a criminal issue anymore. It's not like they were dealing, they were using. However, it would be nice to have the Salvation Army on board. And if they're going to have bunches of people congregate to this particular area, it'd be nice if they actually go out there and interact with them and sit out there with them instead of actually just having a controlled access door so they can deal with the people when they choose to deal with the people, right? Because a lot of these problems, if I was a dealer, I would go and sit in that planter with them. And it's not like it was in the 80s where somebody's snapping their fingers, you know, and just standing up against a wall. It's different than that. Users support their habits by getting larger quantities than normal and then dealing to their friends. But anyways, what I was going on about was that this is something that I can see that changes the perspectives of my downtown. And that's not what I want people to see when they roll into our core. So I'm doing my best to address that. I'm hoping to go to the Salvation Army to see if maybe they can institute some new policies or changes, but that's one thing. We had another recent incident with another fella outside of St. Leonard's in the One Market walkway right beside Laurier, where a student was kind of accosted. And another problem I don't necessarily have a solution to. I actually get to deal with this particular individual on a daily basis. We'll be walking down the street, batting at invisible bees. And I do my best to contain that and keep that out of the public eye, but then he drifts towards where you can get free water and granola bars and somebody compassionate. And I encourage that. It's just that I'm hoping in this particular instance, because incidents like this have happened before with this particular person, that when this goes to court, that because it appears that mental health supports are failing and the social supports are failing, and then he's failing himself because he's not internally making the change, that hopefully the court system will identify this and then treat it like a criminal matter. But I can only put in my recommendations here. That is another area where there's frequent problems, and I do care about the perceptions that our students have of our downtown. So I have my special constables walking back and forth in that area frequently. Yeah. Also this morning, going more on this this theme, you may see when you start talking to people downtown, we had another incident with another fella that has mental health issues and frequents our downtown, and he smashed 2 ATM monitors, smashed a couple of glass doors, and he threw a brick through another business in the core. I understand that he has mental health issues. He's not accessing any of these supports, but he's down here because he is accessing services and is just kind of drawn to the general area. I'm hoping that the courts will take this serious enough to treat this more like a criminal matter, because there is a history of failure to access these services or to use them the way they're intended on being used. But again, we're doing our best to be as visible as possible and be seen by everybody. We're interacting with more than just the criminal element. My special constables are going into the businesses. We're talking to all kinds of different people and trying to convey that the downtown is a great place to frequent, run your business. We go into a lot of this. We eat at the Jamaican food store, for example. Right? It's actually quite good. Yeah, so I'm hoping for some feedback from you guys eventually, whether it be through email, comments today, because I'd like to refine my approach so I can provide a better service delivery in the downtown core. It's more to me about being seen. Well, perspectives are a big of it, a big chunk of it, in the same sense that addressing the criminal elements. And sure, I can push people towards the social services, but I can't force them to help themselves. So that's part of the problems. I've been in other meetings also this month, and it seems that our approach and the new introduction of the outward facing special constables, us being always present and not giving necessarily any shelter or shade to some of the people down here, we're actually displacing a lot of the homeless and drug addicted to other parts of the city. I'm not sure how I can tackle that problem just yet either. We actually got a positive Google review yesterday because it seems that, for example, the YMCA along Wharf Street, I believe it is, right? There's young kids that come downtown here and they get their bicycles stolen when they want to use some of the services there. That's not right. I don't want those kids going and telling their friends not to ride their bikes downtown or to go to these services. But in this particular instance, we reached a positive conclusion because we managed to find one of those bikes at the Salvation Army. Once we identified the person that had that first bike, we were able to find the second bike, and both of the bikes were returned to the kids. And then a happy parent who doesn't have to buy another $600 to $900 bike gave us a positive Google review. So I'm not going to hold my phone up to the screen to show you, but the thing is, it just positive perceptions. I want the downtown, or the people that frequent the downtown, to at least have well, these positive experiences, know that they have the support of the local police service. Yeah, I think I've run on for a little bit, running from one topic to the next, but I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to convey to you guys today.
Thank you, John. We'll listen as long as you want to talk. Because you, excuse me, you are the essence of our downtown, and we appreciate everything you do. I know we have some questions. We have Councillor Utley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John, thank you and your officers for all the positive actions that you're taking downtown. One of the, before this meeting, one of the things I thought about was how are we measuring our improvements downtown? And I know all of us have put an enormous amount of work into the downtown improvement plan. And I'd like us to be able to give maybe 6 months or annual reports and say, this is what we implemented, this is what the results were a year ago, and this is where we are now. You know, we are making input. I think that's a big message to get out to the community as a whole, not just the downtown businesses and residents, because I think we start to build people's confidence in our downtown businesses and area. So I'm you know, policing and police is one thing. You know, there's a lot of measurements that I hope that we have identified or will be identifying, that we can put out, you know, a report and, you know, something we can review every quarter at our BIA meetings to see what's working well, what isn't, what do we need to tweak or fine tune to make it better. What do we need to add to our arsenal of positive actions? What do we need to stop? But I think if we're not measuring it, we're not doing it. And I think it's important for us as a group to celebrate, like review our successes and celebrate them from time to time. And I think that will work out good, and some marketing on, you know, how to get that out to the rest of the community. John, I think your point is very well taken about the judicial system. We still I think we need some work from MP Larry Brock to help us in that regard. He's well positioned in the community and in Ottawa to get more support, or at least highlight, you know, the problems. I'm sure every other small city, large city is experiencing exactly the same problems as we are. So I'll leave it at that and say, you know, let's we get these monthly reports, which are very well received, John. But I think on a bigger picture, you know, let's say, you know, this is what it was like on January the 1st. Here we are, December 31st, and these are the improvements and positive results that we're getting. And I think that'll give you and your team a boost that, hey, we are making a difference. And I think that's an important aspect of you know, what you're doing, what we're doing together for our downtown area. Hey, thanks very much. I've rambled on a little bit there. That's something like me.
Thank you, John. Sandra, you're next.
Thank you, John. And it's really nice that you reported this from a very personal level. And, you know, that's very appreciated. I was downtown yesterday from 3 to about 4:30 and at Hudson's. And what I noticed, and maybe the people representing the educational facilities here can come in on this, I did not notice any people around that maybe, you know, shouldn't be there, or you know, people would rather them not be there. But I also didn't notice any students. And we sat outside and I was just amazed that nobody was there. And it was, I don't know what is causing that. I think it's reading week. I don't know, is it reading week or something?
For
Okay.
Laurier, it is fall reading week. So a lot of
Yeah.
students are off and home, or maybe somewhere sunny, even if they're lucky. So so yes, for us, that's why it's extra quiet this week, is that the students are off.
And I'd like to realize too, that, everyone realize that, these people do need a place to go for sure. And I don't know if these facilities like Salvation Army and that does have the capacity to do some of the things that we would hope they would do. But that's something to think about. Like, I mean, these people don't disappear and we don't want them, unsafe themselves. So you got a lot on your hands. But thank you for your report.
Thank you, Sandra. Dwight, go ahead.
Yes, and speaking to John here, I just wonder, I think there is a bigger drug problem downtown, but you're just not seeing it as other people are hiding away from that. I've experienced this over the last 2 or 3 weeks here with people get their crack pipe out and needles and stuff. So it's very prevalent out there, and that is a criminal activity with things. The other with the mental health is these people get off their medications, and that's the big problem. When they get off it, then all hell breaks loose with everything going on. And I was just wondering why the special constables are walking around in pairs and threes when you could cover a lot more ground with it just leads me to believe there's an unsafe situation where you got to have 2 people instead of 1 walking around and talking to businesses and talking to people and talking to these individuals. I just wondered that a couple of occasions with things, but we're in kind of a bad situation with all these services for these people downtown. The Salvation Army, first thing in the morning, I'm sure they give out food and coffee and different things. So the people meet there, they get together, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it's a visual thing, but that's not going to change at all with things. We need more to get those special contact people out there dealing with these people to see if we can get them to find some help, St. Leonard's or whatever the situation may be, but it's not going to change, that's for sure. It's a society thing, and we just got to keep working at it, and we'll just work along with it. It's just we get more people working downtown instead of all the socially disadvantaged and that around, more ordinary people around, and the perception of what is will change drastically with things, and so these people as well won't be as obvious with things. So anyhow, my 2 cents.
Thanks, Dwight. John, do you want to respond to that?
Actually, I've been waiting, so hopefully I can remember everything. John Utley had brought up quantifiable results, and I'm very big on things that I can quantify. It's not just all fuzzy feelings for me. That's why we come out with the stats. I can come out with more stats. I had sent an email to Annette a little bit earlier prior to this meeting, and I wanted to know basically, it's hard for you to get a read on what we actually do when I send you a sheet with some of the types of calls that we deal with. Also, I don't want to mislead any of you, because there's more than what we do on these sheets that we circulate. Like somehow this morning, if I could show you, we found this in our downtown, right? So barbed wire around a stick.
Gee.
Right, so there's still more that we don't talk about. So like I said, I'd like to refine my approach and give you guys what you want to see and make it as easily digestible for you when it's brought up at these meetings. Dwight, you had brought up the threes. There's method to that madness, because at least until November 20th, the special constables, because it's a very new program, they're in mentoring mode. So I have 4 teams. Each team has 2 dedicated special constables on it. We've made it so that there's 1 male and then 1 female, so they can complement one another. If they require any backup, then they can call over the radio. And then that 3rd person that you saw there is likely the sworn officer that is mentoring them. So showing them what to look for when they're walking around downtown, how to take calls, because the range that they're actually dealing with, we're not necessarily dealing with your emergency calls, but again, we are ambassadors of the downtown, and we will deal with things from assaults, unwanted persons, drugs, and we have policies that we have to follow. And so it's more of an educational point, at least until November 20th, and then there's going to be a reevaluation.
Thank you, John. All right, I have 4 more. Annette, Kathy, Beth, and Karen. Okay, go ahead, Annette.
So Councillor Utley had mentioned baseline. The BIA conducted a survey just over a month ago, and we have plans to do it again in 6 months. So we surveyed the membership, the businesses, to get an idea of things that they're having issues with. We'll do it again in 6 months just to see if there's a difference there. So know that the BIA is doing something there. John Balone had mentioned there's you don't want to mislead us. This list does not mislead us, but you had added 2 new categories, one of unwanted persons and the other drugs. And I wanted to make sure the board knew that if there was other things they wanted to add to that list, that if we let John know, he will add those to the list.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Annette. Kathy?
Oh, yes. John, I was just wondering with regards to the bikes that were recovered from the 2 boys at the Y, since that was a criminal act, were the people responsible charged or arrested?
I would say, in this particular case, I'm going to say no. And the reason why is because it was more important to get those bikes back to the kids than the kids caring about charges being laid in court. So some bargaining was done to get that second bike back to the kid. We felt that it was more important to have that returned than it was to lay a criminal charge, because again, sometimes my faith is shaken when I find out the results or the end result of a court case, because that end result does not help the victim. We made a choice yesterday to make sure that victim had their property returned to them, which was more important than a little bit of social justice.
It was. Thank you. My frustration here is that, again, that's not even a slap on the wrist to the people doing that. So how are we ever going to stop the criminal behavior? Anyway, I understand it's a bigger problem with our judicial system, but I'm glad the kids got their bikes.
Yeah, it just, it's tough because a lot of this stuff is normalized. I told you the first bike was brought right to the Salvation Army. There was no alterations made to it. They didn't take any of the additions off the handlebars off the bike. They were just riding it around like it was their bike.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it was so easy for our officers to identify the bike, then go and access video to find out who was on the bike, and then find that person and then use that as leverage to get the second bike back. Otherwise, there would have been some consequences.
Oh, good points. Thank you, Kathy, for asking that. Beth, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Barbara. Just a quick question, and I know you can't speak for other organizations, but I wondered if you are aware, like, what is the current deployment level for the Brantford downtown outreach team, and to what degree are the new Brantford Police Special Constables collaborating with them? Because as you say, there's sort of a, there not all activities are criminal activities, and some of them are more, appropriately directed to other services, et cetera. And I just wondered if there's any coordination happening between your officers and the BDOT.
Okay, at this point, there isn't very much coordination at all. And I think that to this point, and it was brought up in another meeting I was part of yesterday in regards to encampments, is that they don't necessarily want to be associated with enforcement. We are largely the bad guys. Or if you wanted to take a look at us like parents for people that are not necessarily responsible, we are always people with consequences. And then some of the other services come bearing gifts and try to make people comfortable. It just, it's a work in progress at this point, and clearly should be addressed. And that's a point that was brought up, like I said, again, yesterday, where we want to integrate those services somewhat together. So that way we have a little bit of a blended approach. So I unfortunately, I don't have any answers for you today on how that's going to happen, but maybe at the next meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, John. And thank you, Beth. Karen, go ahead.
Thank you, John. I identify and support everything that you're doing to improve our downtown for our community, including our Conestoga students. As you know, we have a large number of both staff and students out of 274 Colburn Street, where our exit is on Dalhousie. And so everything that you've identified with the Salvation Army, we see on a daily basis. One of the things that will be bringing up to our security, who only look after our parking and our buildings, is I almost hit somebody with their buggy who was using the Conestoga driveway as a means of getting from one part of Salvation Army, over to the other part. I guess I'm just sending empathy and support more than anything, but we absolutely see all that's happening in what you've identified, considering where we're located.
Thank you. Okay. Dwight, go ahead.
I was going to point out, John, as well, you have to realize these socially disadvantaged people, they're also carrying weapons to protect themselves, and you want to be very cognizant of what's going on. I also wonder why, with all these grocery carts running around that are obviously stolen, and now they're using the big recycling bins, which they're taking as well, and walking around all over the place, putting all their belongings in it, when nobody says anything to them, and they just keep going. And these things aren't theirs. They're obviously stolen or misappropriated. That's for sure. So why isn't something more being done about that?
Sorry, phone calls. I should be turning these things off at the meetings. Okay, so shopping carts. This is something that we've attempted to address before, but then what happens is that, again, going to perspectives, I can say that the shopping carts were stolen. The person that I'm dealing with at the time might say to me that they didn't actually take it from the grocery store. They found it at another street corner somewhere else, which starts blurring that line. And then I'm in a position where, am I going to call a grocery store, and then how am I going to transport this single grocery cart back to Food Basics up on King George Road, or Rusty's, I forget the yellow one over there in Colburn Street West. It just, there's some times where I have to draw a line on how deeply we go into some of those issues. I don't necessarily know how I would address that specifically. And as for the garbage bins, I see it too. But a lot of the time, the garbage bins don't have an address marked on them. And so, sure, I know that these people, or a lot of them, don't have the resources or would never save their money enough to buy a $70 flip top garbage bin. But I'm in a hard place to identify the true owner of that garbage bin and to see it returned. They can just as easily tell me that somebody gave it to them or they found it somewhere. And then it ultimately is up to me that I have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a criminal offense has occurred. I can't just take it from them.
Okay, thank you, John. John, Councillor Utley, did you have another question?
Not a question, but a comment, Madam Chair. Over my years as a councillor, I've phoned into city staff numerous times to say, hey, there's a shopping cart that's been abandoned on such and such a street. Can you have a crew come down and pick it up? And they do that. It's not very often that they get back into the hands of the owner, the grocery stores that buy them and use them for their customers. And sometimes they end up, going to the scrap dealer for scrap metal. So it is complex. It's sometimes for the grocery stores, it's not worth their time to go and pick it up. They don't have the means to do it. I mean, it's their cart and it's been taken from their property, and it's really theirs to look after, like stolen cars or stolen anything. So it is a sort of an awkward situation, and maybe that's we get a few of us together to with City Hall and grocery stores and say, hey, how are we going to handle this? Some people don't have cars, so they have to walk their shopping carts back to wherever they're living. And then it's unlikely that same shop is going to return it to the store. They'll just leave it and sort of abandon it. So there's a lot of moving parts, I think, to this issue. And again, is it worth our time to do it? The other side of me says these people, the homeless, have nothing. They don't have a car, they don't have a house, they don't have a lot of things, and they have whatever little personal belongings they have. They can either carry it on a great big sack on their back, or they can put it in something, and they'd have to carry that everywhere they go, which really isn't feasible, I think. So, maybe I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's a problem that's going to be around for a long, long time until we get the homeless situation under control, if we ever get it under control. Thanks, Madam Chair.
All right. Excuse me. John Balloon, don't ever underestimate your importance coming to our meetings. I think that you are you're our eyes and ears on the street. You are part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate everything that BPS is doing, and focusing on the downtown and identifying the problems and trying to give solutions. Don't ever underestimate your importance here. Thank you so very, very much. All right. You've been on the hot seat for a long time. I think we'll move along. All right. Jennifer, it's your turn.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I'll start off with Scare in the Square because that's fresh on my mind. It was Friday and Saturday, and we had the biggest turnout we've ever had. I'm just tallying up everything now. So I don't know if anybody takes the time to read the sponsorship reports when they come in, but you'll want to read this one because it's going to have some outstanding information in it. We had some amazing photographers on site, so we'll have some great photos coming up. Just a few incidents with people downtown, which I'm going to connect with you, John, personally on. But other than that, everything was fantastic. Numbers were higher than we've ever seen before in the haunted house, which is offsite. So that's wonderful to see. It's at Mohawk Park in the pavilion. We have the bus that runs back and forth. So overall, it was an amazing event. So thank you for your continued support in making it happen. Quick update on the banners that you approved way back when that are going to go up on all the pillars in Harmony Square. They're all designed. I've sent them to Annette, but there's a shortage in that type of vinyl. So they haven't been printed yet. So that's why they're not up. But once they get up, I'll let everybody know. I'm guessing by now the winter ones will probably be the next ones to go up. Next on my plate is we're doing a staff United Way barbecue next Friday in Harmony Square. So you'll see it pretty busy down there. And then we have Remembrance Day, and then we have the Parade After Party Holiday Carnival on November 26th, and then we jump into New Year's Eve. I'm also calling all of the businesses that participated in Chili Cook-Off in the past to see if we can make that run. The biggest concern is everybody's having a staffing crisis right now. So will people be able to provide staff for the day to let us run Chili Cook-Off again? So I'll have an update on that at the next meeting if Chili Cook-Off will be moving forward or not for 2023. So everything's just running back to normal for me, and we seem to be the only people running large scale events right now. So they're very important for our community to keep hosting these.
Thanks, Jennifer, and they're very important for our downtown. We appreciate all you do, as always, as always.
Thank you.
I couldn't believe the crowds in the square. All right, Carrie, go ahead.
Jennifer, did you say parade after party?
I said maybe parade after party.
Oh.
maybe holiday carnival. I'll have an update. You'll hear something in the next couple weeks if there's anything happening.
We don't know about the parade yet.
That's
then.
correct. We don't know about the parade yet.
All
But
right.
if there is something with the parade, then you'll hear within the next week.
Okay.
Annette, go ahead.
I saw a notice on social media about no parade. So I haven't had my email answered, but I did see a posting on social media that it was canceled.
Ignore that posting. It's been taken down. It was a posting that shouldn't have gone up. So just, I can't say much more at this point, but just stay tuned. And we have a meeting at 10 o'clock. So there'll be something coming out in the next week.
Okay, awesome. Love social media. Okay, all right, we'll move on. Beth, go ahead.
Thanks. On the topic of social media, we have our first public lecture from the Center for Research on Security Practices with an expert from the UK on disinformation. So the news release is coming out this week. So if anyone would like to attend that, it's hybrid. So the year before COVID, we hosted 150 events on campus that were open to the public, like lectures, performances, all kinds of things. And we're happy to get back to it, but it's nice that now we can offer hybrid for some of these. So if people still aren't comfortable in crowds, so that'll be coming. And Jennifer, if and when you have any news on a parade that may or may not be happening, please let us know, because we're happy to look at any opportunities there might be to collaborate. We hosted on September 28th a preview event, and on September 29th 2 public events, open house format for One Market, Future Plans, and the Community Cultural Hub. So it was great to see Annette and Barbara and some other BIA members there. Just shared the plan for the former cinemas on the upper floor, which would include a mid-sized performance space, a cinema, and a gallery. So we're updating the website with that information as well. If people didn't get a chance to get out, you can find the info online probably within the week. Convocation is coming up on October 31st. So Halloween, easy to remember. So we will have the grads parade. Usually they used to go to the Research and Academic Center to get their robes, but that will now be staged in One Market. And then we're just finalizing the parade route. So when I have that parade route, I'll share it with everyone here. The Golden Broom coming back is great. So just a reminder to maybe practice your sidewalk sweeping skills and make sure everything's a little extra good looking that day. The ceremony is not until the afternoon. So the good news on that is fortunately that the garbage pickup will hopefully have happened by then, because that's always a concern with the morning ceremonies. The TH&B mural project that the city is hosting, we submitted an application and fortunately we're approved. So we have a mural with the slogan of "May your path be golden" that we've conceived that our team will start working on this week. So if anyone has insights on how to mix the exact right colors of purple out of primary colors, perhaps Barbara, you could help us out. We're working on that because the city's providing Tremclad in primary colors. So it'll be a learning experience for all of us. Winter's a Drag, which we hosted last year in March after several reschedules because of COVID, is hopefully going to take place this year. Beth Sanders has got some funding applications approved from a couple of different bodies, and if she can close the gap, then we will be proceeding, and that would be in January. And the vision would again be to include everyone, so make it open and accessible to community as well. We had some families come out last year and a whole bunch of women for, I think, a 40th birthday party who had a great time. It was a fun evening, and it was fun to include community as well. So as those details shape up, I'll let you know. And we also had our United Way kickoff last week. The Brantford campus, I think, is trying to raise 15,000 from staff. A lot of us do the payroll deduction, which is nice and convenient. And then I just wanted to mention at the last BIA meeting, I did mention that the user experience design students identified Design to End Homelessness as their theme for this year. So their projects will all be about, how they have a positive impact on, thanks, Sergeant Balone, on homelessness, how they can help solve the problem in small ways. And our Launchpad program as well, the business incubator, actually has a group. I'm probably speaking a little out of turn, but Julie Perkins did share this in a meeting yesterday. There are some students working on a backpack program where they want to design backpacks that won't break your back to carry them, but that could be a safe, secure alternative to having a shopping cart. So it is a project that even our students are examining and looking at. So as I have more information on those things, I'll share it. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. That's, you're a community within a community, and it's, we appreciate your being here too. And purple, start with blue and add red. A little bit at a time. Okay, Councillor Utley, do you have any city updates for us? Well, your microphone's off, Councillor.
Let's try that again. I got a report yesterday on the status of the Costco store, and it's progressing very well. The city is very close to approving a site plan approval, so they can start preparing the land. I would think there's a fair amount of irrigation work that needs to be done first, because it's got a very high water table on that property, and I'm sure those of you that have been out there in the spring, there's a lot of geese out there enjoying the large puddles of rainwater. There was the city was recognized recently as one of the top international film commissions for allowing their downtown to be used for film productions. So the city was nominated for the Outstanding Film Commission Award alongside 5 other locations, with Oklahoma Film and Music Office ultimately taking home the award for Reservation Dogs. Film Commission is a specialized office under the authority of a government entity with the purpose of promoting the region through the development of film, video, and multimedia production. So, hats off downtown Brantford for, putting us on the map with the film industry. I think that's really wonderful. There's an election coming up, October 24. I am so happy not to be included in that voting. I wouldn't have been able to campaign with my back problems this year, so it's funny how things work out in the end. And I think that's about it, unless there's any there's not a lot going on right now with we've got a lame duck council. We had our last council meeting last week. Bit teary-eyed about that because, you know, it's been an amazing experience like no other, I tell you, and very humbled and privileged to be a part of it and help our city. So any questions? Oh, no.
Dwight, go ahead.
Hi, Dwight.
Hi, John. I couldn't let you go without one question. I brought up some time ago about the parkade there, why there isn't charging stations in there for the electric vehicles. And I don't know where that ever went, whether it's not feasible or are they still looking at it? Because that's a big issue. There isn't a lot of charging stations downtown for electric vehicles. I know City Hall has them down for their vehicles, and Laurier has 3 in the parking lot on Charlotte Street. But I think it would be a good item for that parkade for sure.
I agree, through you, Madam Chair. I agree, Dwight, and I will get you an answer one way or the other on where that's at. It's definitely coming. It's here, and it's going to get bigger. So I think there's, you know, there's going to be a huge need looking into the future. Thank you.
Sandra, go ahead.
Just first of all, to follow up on Dwight, you know, I got to say, I drive an electric car and I find Brantford actually really near the bottom of cities and towns that do supply that service. So, you know, please.
Yeah, agree.
But what I'd like to bring up, and I don't know if Annette, you have this somewhere on the agenda, is, okay, there's all this construction that is going to happen in Brantford. And, you know, as businesses, and we're lucky it's not happening in ours, but leases are renewing and people are nervous that would be renewing these leases. So I'm sure other businesses will be, you know, feeling this. But is there a group out of the City Hall that can keep the BIA posted on the timelines and where this is going and who this will affect?
Is that question for me?
Oh, yeah. Because you're the only one that might be able to answer this, maybe.
Okay. I do apologize. I thought it was aimed at Dwight, but would you? I do apologize. Could you mind repeating that, please?
Yeah, and it's the second part. The first one was follow up on Dwight. So what's happening in Brantford, because we all know that there's going to be this big infrastructure change, you know, we're going to update. And I can imagine, and we have heard about some businesses where lessees are hesitant to renew their lease because of what's going to be happening. But even as a BIA and as a business ourselves, down like with the building down there, is there going to be a group that will maybe communicate or be part of this group about the timelines and who's going to be affected? Like keep us up to date so that we can give that information to, you know, to our members to know how to move forward. But communicate, well, I guess what I'm saying is we need to have some communication, and city's got to do it.
Good. Thank you, Sandra. Through you, Madam Chair. I believe the reconstruction of Dalhousie and Colborne.
Andrew Butler, or one other.
That isn't me. That's going to take place in the next 2 or 3 years, I believe. So absolutely, there's going to need to be a lot of communication between now and when that happens and during. So let me contact Indy Hands, our GM for Public Works, to find out where it's at. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a strong communications plan included in that project, and a lot of input required from BIA as well. So I don't have a lot of details, Sandra, at this point, but I will see what I can conjure up for you. Right, and everyone.
Annette?
So at the AGM, we'll be having a speaker to talk to us about the reconstruction of Colborne and Dalhousie. Gagan will be attending to do that. So hopefully anybody attending can ask these questions as well to find out about the communication plan and that kind of thing, whatever your concerns are actually.
And you'll be asking too, Annette?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. For the board. Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, and just at this moment, Councillor Utley,
Yep.
I want to thank you on behalf of the Downtown BIA for your service on council, and their loss is our win. So we haven't lost you. We look forward to you continuing with the BIA, and we hope that that's a good experience for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And it sounds like it's a done deal, and I don't have a choice in this. So I am. Your words are very much appreciated, and it's a bit of an emotional time for me after 12 years, and it's been an emotional year period. So I'm looking forward to working with you into the future and have some more exciting time. It's an exciting time to be on BIA, and there's a lot of great things coming down the pipeline that is going to make our downtown bustle. Prove all the naysayers wrong. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. It's been a privilege working with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Beth, did you have a comment?
That was the applause.
Oh, yes. Applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
All right. All right. We don't have city staff with us. Well, we have Jennifer, but she's already given her update. So we'll move on beyond that. And are there any committee updates? I don't think. Go ahead, Sandra.
I just want to report that I haven't been contacted yet to go on the Brantford Heritage Committee. Annette, when did we put that in?
6 months ago.
Okay,
6
so
months ago.
I have not attended a meeting.
You're lucky.
And Dwight, go ahead.
Through the chair, madam, I want to ask Carrie if at the planning meetings there was talk of fast tracking some advancements where they wouldn't have to be held up so long with approval on everything going on. Is there any more updates on that?
Not that I know of. Maybe John can expand a bit on this, Councillor Utley, if he knows. But from the gist of what I got in this meeting, we now have a planning committee that meets before City Council that decides some issues and kind of hashes through the details so that City Hall doesn't have to take as much time during council. So what they've done is they plan on making it so that some planning matters can be deemed minor and then can be decided by a committee, which would be the planning committee, I presume, or an individual. So some different applications will be able to act as far as I know. John, can you expand that a bit?
I don't have a lot to add to that, Kerry and Dwight. It's a fairly new approach, and I haven't had the opportunity to attend any of the meetings yet. I don't even know if I'm on the committee, to be honest. But anyhow, it's intended to streamline the process and make the process less cumbersome and quicker. Time will tell how effective that is. So anyway, I think it's a positive step in the right direction.
Yes,
shall see.
it's positive going forward that council's trying to do some things like this to help fast track development. So
This is, if I may, Madam Chair, this is something we've been working at for a couple of years, is to streamline the process for the planning process. There's a lot happening. The ultimate goal is to implement an electronic approval process for improvements and building permits, where you can see in real time where your project stands on screen. And right now, it's I think we've still got a long way to go in the planning process. It's still very cumbersome, and I'm not sure everyone has bought into it yet, both from the city and the community. So it's a work in progress right now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hartley. All right, we're at the point of the meeting where this is our last meeting before the election and of the board as it stands. Dwight has served the BIA so very, very well. And Dwight, as I understand, you're not running for the board in our next term.
That's right.
Go ahead, Annette.
So I've heard a rumor that the appointments probably won't be taking place until next year. So this board will continue until January or until they decide to have an appointments. We've been waiting 6 months for 2 other appointments, so I wouldn't be holding your breath that you guys are done yet.
Right, but right, okay, but officially before the right before the new board starts. I just wanted to say before the election that we appreciate Dwight's service to the downtown BIA and hope that you stay on board with your passion. And I know that we haven't heard the last of you, Dwight.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you, Dwight.
Yeah. All right. So if there's nothing else for the good of the BIA, our next meeting is November 9th. And as Annette says, don't everybody run away too fast, because we continue until council approves our next board, which will be in the new year. If there's anything else, oh, Dwight, go ahead.
I was just going to make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome. Good motion. All right. Seconder and Councillor Ali, go. That's good. And all in favor. There we go. Have a great day, everyone. And thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay safe.
Great to see you all again. Bye-bye.